mina ngiwala Mbabane, ngikhulela Mbabane. Ngiyamthanza Mbabane. But Mbabane kwashaya 8 o'clock so ulele. Let's make sure that there's a split sheet. The best time to sign a split sheet is the moment you're done making the song. Ufana nasesonveni. Futhi uthi mase esonveni uma uyive kahle le gospel.
Uzamela ukuyipractice.
Futhi bese soyasinziswa phela sesiyakubona ukuthi sowushintshile lingenile livangeli. So if you come to a workshop and you really hear the gospel of copyright, can we start to see changes in how you do things? I said this to my artists because in our cooking, and then we'll say, okay, we're ready to dish up. The food's getting cold. Comes banbasabang my plate. Bro, if I you play sports?
Yeah, I used to, not anymore.
Which sport?
I used to play soccer.
So you can ninga gym up, bro, for 3 months.
And shy 5.
Makfigi game, bro. Wayibona int.
True.
I-Inter beyijimile.
Umbule Islam.
Alright.
Yabo. Hayi kuthi ayikajimi.
They came prepared.
They prepared.
And they said they were red.
But babashaye 5-0.
Ish.
So it doesn't mean you didn't prepare.
It's just that the other opponent was better.
It's the game and the occasion. Sometimes the occasion is big, bro. You know that like elite sports athletes, they have psychologists that they see
before
big games.
Yeah.
Just so that person mentally
is on the same
in the right frame of mind. Because the occasion can take over easily. It's a big occasion, bro. It's a big occasion.
I feel you.
It's like playing a World Cup final. This is why then teams, they have like experienced players there. But he's there to tell the young guys, yo, this is how on this level you handle things. Hey, this is how you do this. This is how you do that. And going back to your Arsenal thing, that's why I think Arsenal didn't win the semi-final.
It's because they prepared.
They also lacked that person who'll be like, yo, gents,
let's relax.
It's important, bro.
True.
Like, it's important.
Game-changing players.
When I practice for 6 months, this is 6 to 9.
Game day,
here's
nothing.
The moment, right? And yeah, I mean, that's really the DNA of a superstar. That's how you can tell who's a superstar or not. People that can handle things at that stage without needing experience per se. Like a Cristiano, like a Messi. At their youth, you could see because these guys are handling the pressure. So
everybody's in sync with everything.
It's the same thing even with art and creativity. It can be good, can be great, but then on the highest level, do you have the X factor to be like, okay, Yabo.
Hey, Ascali podcast. Ascali podcast. Anyways, as what you know what's happening, welcome to another segment of Talk Entertainment and Art. I am your host with the most, Mmeli. Your favorite podcaster. We are back today at Eve's Lunch in Mbabane. Shout out to Eve's Lunch for allowing us to use the space. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you drop a comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know who you want to see on the platform. But more than anything, I'm going to introduce my guest today. He is the co-founder of Antidote Music. He is the executive director of Eswa Court. Mmeli Hlanze, ladies and gentlemen. How you feeling, bro?
I'm all good, man. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I see you have the Arsenal jersey on. Are you a sports person?
Not London is red. You have to represent. Not London is red.
You guys had a great season, by the way.
I wouldn't say so. I had very high expectations for the season.
Did
the
expectations include the Premier League?
Honestly, yeah.
Are you pushing it?
No. Like, we can all agree Liverpool was a wild card. I don't think there's anyone
who
said
Liverpool.
Liverpool is going to win the EPL. Transition, new coach. They didn't buy any player. We're just expecting them to compete, yes, but not to win it. I think everybody, even the pundits that are usually anti-Arsenal were saying, "Yeah, this is gonna be Arsenal's year. This is gonna be Arsenal's year." So for me, I was expecting the Premier League. I won't
I
lie.
ain't gonna lie, I was shocked when Manchester City started flopping. I was like, nah, it's over for Pep. He can't
Yeah.
come back from it. He can't recover.
Yeah. So it was wide open.
And the APL is always so crazy. Like we start the season with different people. By the time it ends, you're like, what? We're here now. But anyways, besides sports, besides football, I mean, is there any other sports that you participated in?
Yeah, sports that I watch. I watch a bit of tennis. I used to watch a lot of cricket. I don't watch
For
much.
real?
Yeah, I used to watch cricket. I used to play cricket as well.
In high school?
Yeah,
For real?
yeah,
Locally?
yeah.
That's crazy. That's I don't know. I don't know anyone who
Yeah.
play cricket.
And then I watch a bit of basketball.
Just a bit.
Yeah, just a bit.
You saw the finals?
No,
You haven't seen the finals?
no. That's why I'm like a bitch.
Yeah.
I haven't followed in a while, but I used to watch basketball quite a bit. But yeah, football.
Mm.
Yeah, kakulu football. That's the one I'm really invested in emotionally. The
Do-
others I watch out of interest.
Do you bet?
No,
You don't bet.
nah.
Damn.
I bet on myself.
You bet on yourself.
Yeah. I don't bet on things I can't control.
It's really hit or miss. I usually do it sometimes.
I mean,
I
to
usually
push
do it.
time, you see, betting is dangerous if you're trying to make a living out of it.
You can't. That's what people don't understand. You can't make a living because you have zero control of whatever happens in there.
Yeah. Betting is just like you do it for fun. In fact, I always say if you're going to bet, it must be money you're willing to lose.
Mm.
Don't bet imali that you're not willing to lose.
That you want to use profitably
Nah,
more than anything.
because you're going to lose it.
True.
Yeah. And you're going to lose it, and then you're going to try and get it back. And then you're going to lose that. And then it becomes a hole that keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper until, yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people can't get out. So, I mean, I'm not anti-betting, but I'm not pro-betting.
Pro-betting.
Yeah,
It's in the
because of
middle.
what I've seen or I'm seeing it do in our community. I don't like the direction that we're going.
I know a guy. I usually tell the story. I know a guy who started his whole life with betting. Like he used to shock me. He used to go to Linkokwing. He used to stay in station. So what he did was he would every day he would go on the betting website at the Lindy's. Nothing away I'm conducting the fridge. Nothing away I'm conducting the TV. Like he literally built this thing for himself, and it used to work for him.
Yeah.
It used to work for him. Now people would come to him asking for the tickets, what. And
Yeah.
it would sometimes it would hit, sometimes it would miss.
Yeah.
But he is that one person I actually saw who made a living out of it. I was shocked.
Yeah, I mean, also we must admit, ukuthi tinhlanhla tebantu atifana,
Qinisweni.
right? So,
Qinisweni.
for me, nje, for example, I take most advice with a pinch of salt. So you can give me advice, and I will still analyze it and really subject it to more critical thinking. Because the advice that you're giving me might have worked for you,
Right?
doesn't necessarily mean that it will work for me.
And it's your experience.
Exactly. So it's still valuable though for me to get that advice, and I might pick up a nugget or two from what you're saying, but I can never copy paste advice. I think, yeah, life just doesn't work like that. And for me, that's why even not just with like things like betting or in general, like I can't copy paste someone else's formula.
True.
Yeah, you gotta make your own formula
Try to use the information you get from different people
Sure.
to generate what
to make your
works for
own.
you.
Yeah.
All right. I think the last time I saw you were at the panel for MTN Bushfire. You guys were doing the
Sustainability
Sustainability
of
of-
arts and culture festivals. Yeah.
And you guys were going around each in different places.
Yeah.
Before I ask my question, did you guys go outside of Mbabane and Nanzini? Like Lobamba,
So I was
Stay.
only involved with the UNESCO panel, which was at Limco.
okay.
But I do know that there was one done at UNESCO as well.
I saw that one. I saw
One
that one.
at Liengo.
Mm.
I'm not sure if the other went to Walusen, but I know that the focus was to go to where the youth is, and predominantly that's institutions, tertiary institutions. Yeah, and I think there was only 4 or 5 of them. So I don't know how far and wide they went with the other topics, because the topics were different.
True.
So, for example, the one that was at Luyengo was more focused around farming and food security, right? So they would take you to a place where the audience relates to the subject matter, and that's why the one about the impact and sustainability of
what happened at Dimkokwe.
exactly, yeah.
Which actually makes sense.
Yeah.
But overall, how's the experience at Bush?
I mean, Bushfire is Bushfire. It's an amazing experience. One, just seeing all these people from outside of the world, outside of the country, I mean,
In one place.
Right. Coming here, desiring or wanting something that belongs here.
And I literally have the international arrivals and overnight stays from the Eswatini tourism. So
Sure.
the most population we had was from South Africa. And
Sure.
that was 62.2%.
Yeah.
And the second one is Mozambique with 18.7%, Zimbabwe with 5.1%, and Malawi, and so on. Which shows how much people we had in the country coming from different countries.
Yeah.
And it's such a great experience, guys. I think Bushfire is one of the things we all need to witness just once.
Yeah.
If you like it, you come back.
Yeah. And it's an opportunity for everyone.
True.
Even if you're not part of the festival itself, it just depends how you want to use the opportunity. People rent out their houses.
People do a lot.
Yeah.
Literally,
some people go to the festival to network and just to meet people from outside of the country.
And we had a lot of people, South African.
Some are traders, they're selling food, selling whatever. So it's really an opportunity to leverage the audience that Bushfire is bringing and selling what you can sell.
So if you don't make money at Bushfire, there's no hope.
Shut our phone. Yeah,
right?
if you don't make money during Bushfire, we can shut our phone.
But anyways, let's dive in into the copyrights. We had a conversation off camera. Smololo was asking about how far with the
royalties.
And you said it's Banjelolo, my artist.
I said it's Banjelolo, my artist.
Yeah.
Because in our cooking, and then we'll say, okay,
now we're
ready to dish up. The food's getting cold. Comes banbasabang my plate. So
chazela mina sendanjalo ukuthi sikhanze singabange amaplate so that the system decide ukuthi nasuka lana siya kuphi as an artist, as a producer, as a creative in general.
Well, firstly, you just have to know the business. The business of music, or even just the business of art, is the business of rights.
True.
It's the business of expression and the business of rights. So artists are really good with the expression part. Creative expression, amazing. We make great songs. We make great art. Then there's the rights management side. We don't necessarily understand Lama rights. Lama rights, in the context of music, usually we're talking about copyright or neighboring rights. Right? So copyright, we give copyright to the creators of the song, the people that actually created. So the songwriters, the authors, the composers.
Everybody who's involved into making this product happen.
No, those who create, not who are involved. Because you can be involved but not create, right?
Okay, now that's where it gets tricky. Because in the studio where there's my producer and he tells you, try doing this thing like this, but he's not the one producing the song. He's just involved in the room. How do you compensate that person?
But he's creating.
Is he creating or he's just
when I
telling the creator?
When I instruct you to do something, I'm creating.
Guys,
you're just my paintbrush.
Damn.
I am, because songwriting is not just writing the actual lyrics. When I'm in a studio session with you and I tell you, actually, write that verse this way or structure that verse that way, I'm writing. I'm co-writing with you. And that's why it's very dangerous. I always warn artists about inviting people in studio, someone who has no role, just to be there. Because y'all will invite me, I'll say, change that, ufake logo, yenda logo, ufake logo, and you guys will take it for granted. Ningangifaki ku split sheet.
Now the question
then
is,
the song blows up.
What she's saying is actually what's happening. Because a lot of people are actually in studio. I had a studio session on my own and we had a bunch of people. Now they're just saying don't bring people in.
Catching a vibe. People are there to just catch a vibe.
I mean,
Some 17 la,
I know some 17, but I think I speak for every artist. Nangiti, the process of making music is really so valuable that
you need people around.
No, not that you don't. You need people around. You need to be at the happiest moment, right? And you need to be at the most comfortable. So it's different. It's different vibes for different days.
Let me ask you. You're talking about moments and emotions and tapping into that, right?
True.
Actors, they do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
If anything, for them, it's more intense because they need to be able to retrieve a certain emotion or a certain moment at a go.
Yeah.
Do they bring people on set?
I'm not aware.
I don't think they bring people on set.
But I'm sure they
just to help them.
I'm sure they can bring a friend or one or two.
On set.
On set.
No ways. No ways. So the studio is your office. You also have just to be, I mean, if you're taking it serious, like, be cautious of your office.
Be intentional.
Yeah, but it's like your home. Do you let anyone into your home, your house? You don't. True. It's the same thing. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say let's not collaborate. I'm just saying, Masia Studio, it's great to know everybody's role. So if you go to studio and your role is a manager, and your role is to make sure that once the work is done, the splits are done, everything is signed, it's fine. You're not part of the creative process, but you have a role that you are playing. Yeah, but I mean, all I'm saying is we must go to the studio, we must have roles, right? And then we must do the work. We must create great, but when we're done creating, let's make sure that there's a split sheet. The best time to sign a split sheet is the moment you're done making the song.
What if the song is not complete? What if we was like, okay, we out of juice right now.
Sure.
Let's revisit the idea. And then you find that we don't revisit the idea, and then you play you come back, you played for another person, they like it. Now they want to jump in. And at that time, let's go sign a split sheet. Because I think in situations like that, whereby there's like 2 or more people involved, that's how it happens.
You know what's happening? What's happening is that, so the music business is a business. It's very structured, right?
True.
If you're an artist, especially an independent artist, and you want to go into the music business, you really need to go study record labels and how they work and the different roles in record labels. Because as an independent, you have to be all of those things.
True.
It doesn't mean those things fall off. So there's A&R managers, people who the artist sits with and they discuss, Yati, for this project, I think I'm going to need so and so, and I'm going to need that person. And the A&R manager is responsible for helping to bring that to life. They will contact camp Yazbanban and that camp and say, hey, Bablamin would like to invite you to a session. This is the brief, this is the song. And you guys can also have that offline chat. Nima artists, fine. But the managers are also talking on a level of, okay, sure, we can come through to studio. So just so you know, our standard rate for on a split sheet is 20%. Is what
rates on a split sheet.
Some artists have standard rates. Okay. If you want me on a song, I'm taking 20% or I'm taking 50%. Whether I contribute that much or this much, right?
That's crazy.
Some do have it, yabo, and that's the management side where we're negotiating the splits. In most cases, the artists themselves are not the one negotiating splits, right? It's the management who knows. It's okay. Your value, your contribution in the song is this much, or your value in the song is that much. That's why traditionally artists don't worry about the business, because the record label setup provided the support for the business things to be done.
Okay.
Manje, if you're going to be an independent, you can't then just focus on the creative expression. You have to do the work that the record label would have traditionally done. You have to make sure that all agreements are signed. You make sure that the release is uploaded the right way, that everybody is credited correctly, that the release dates are secured, that you are pitching to the DSPs for placement, that radio interviews are lined up for promo, that newspaper interviews are lined up for promo. You have to do all of that. Once you wanna be independent. People think being independent is cheap.
Sponsoring a post on Instagram.
It's expensive being independent, but it has more value if it works out in the end and the product actually has value. There's more for you to take home, but there's more work for you to do as well. So that's the part that I feel artists miss.
Okay. Besides, there's a lot of things artists miss. Actually, there's a lot of things artists miss. And I want you to touch base on the IP. How does an artist protect his IP in a situation whereby he's involved but is not the main player?
And what is he doing?
Okay, I'm going to speak in terms of production. You produce the song, but you're not the performing artist. How do I find myself protecting myself in a way whereby I'm the main person?
Sure,
I'm the one dropping the songs. Like how I'm making it how DJ Khaled does it.
Sure.
How DJ Sleek does it. How do I protect myself
as a DJ, somebody
slash producer?
Okay, is this like a personal consultation?
Yeah, this is for me. Guys, trust me. I'm doing this for myself. I need this right now.
Okay, let's firstly understand the roles, la corner, and then understand the rights that go with those roles, right? Kunema songwriter. My songwriter usually they are split into two: author, composer.
Okay.
I know you use the term producer, but for the purpose of what I'm about to say, can we remove producer?
Yeah.
He's a composer.
Yeah.
He's composing the non-lyrical aspect of the song. Then the other person is writing the lyrical aspect of the song.
Okay.
They are both songwriters. So let's put them together. The songwriters. And then part of songwriting, maybe they'll also be the person who will do the final arrangement of what you would then actually call production. Because I can compose a beat, but then when there's someone who comes and does the final
product,
arranging, deciding where's the hook going, where's the bridge, and all of that, does the arrangement of it, right? All of those people, they are songwriters. It's Banigi copyright. They're protected by copyright. Locals, they're protected by a split sheet. They need to have a split sheet amongst themselves to say, listen, you wrote this, you wrote that, you wrote that melody, you helped us arrange, you did it. They decide, right? A lot of people get like asking, how many % should we give each other? I don't know. It's really it boils down to negotiation because a split sheet is an agreement at the end of the day, right?
Mm.
But I always advise, if we're being equitable, 50% to the lyrical part, 50% to the non-lyrical part.
Okay.
And then you guys decide. If there's two people that were involved in the lyrical part, they must go discuss how they're splitting the 50%.
The non-lyrical people decide.
And the
other
non-lyrical people decide their other 50.
50. Pretty much that's how it's supposed to be set up.
If there's, unfortunately, most instances, one person who was involved in creating the instrumental,
Yeah.
then utawukhotha lo 50.
Wonke.
I'm sharing a ban.
Okay, fair enough.
Yabo.
Yeah.
But that's where the challenges start, because then these guys will say, no.
You having more than what because we are the performing artists. That's why it gets tricky now.
But wait, no, they are not yet performing. We're still writing.
What?
We're gonna get to performing.
Okay.
We're just writing.
Just arrived.
They wrote the lyrics. So they'll fight because usually artists feel like massing 3, let's split it 3 ways.
Okay.
Massing 4, let's split it 4 ways. You can also do that. Uman vumelana, that's fine. But I usually, if people do ask, I'd say 50% to the non-lyrical aspect, 50% to the lyrical aspect. And then those involved on either side decide. We're split sheet sign. We're done with the writers, with the songwriters, with the authors, right?
Okay.
Now we come to the producers. When I say producer in terms of copyright, I mean the person who invested in the creation of the work. These guys wrote the work, right? Now the work needs to be produced. Singakutsikiwe a studio, kwakhiwe the recording, if it's a song, right? If it's a film, umuntu lotofaka imali, kutholwe ama-location, kuqashwe in. That person is bringing to life the work of the person who wrote the script, right? Those are the writers in that case, if it's film. Zamalo comes and just producer goes across the board. But if we're keeping it to music, the producer is the record label. Because traditionally, they are the ones who invest in the creation of the recording.
And then take out the recording themselves.
Yeah. So in this case, because nowadays there's independent artists, the producer can also be an independent artist, right? Because he is the record label. If you're an independent artist, you are the record label in the sense of what it's supposed to be.
A&R, manager, road manager.
You are investor in the creation. You book studio, you pay the recording engineer, you pay the mixing engineer. You're doing that, right? The producer, the one who invests in the creation of the recording, owns the master. Sesingena-ke kuma rights. The second set of rights, sesicedzile nge-copyright.
Yeah.
Sesibuya copyrighting the master. Or neighboring rights, actually. Right? Yeah. Because it's not copyright. Because copyright, we give it to people who create. Neighboring rights, umakhelwane we copyright. These are people who help those who created, but they are not the creators. That's why it's called neighboring rights. So that's where your masters go. We give it to the person who invested. So when a DJ Maporisa goes on a live and said, I paid for studio, I paid for this, I paid for that, I paid for that. I think he's saying it in a way that quite candidly, but he can argue ownership.
You can argue.
If you're a Maporisa, you can argue ownership of the master. You invested. Unless the other person, what did you invest? Unless you can prove that you invested something. So let me make an example. If you came with your laptop to my house, that's your investment. You bought that laptop. The one that's being used to capture the recording, that's your investment. So you could argue, no. Me bringing in this laptop gives me a claim as well. So you can't own it fully.
True.
But if the person is paying for everything, what is the challenge?
Hey, right?
that is why labels, when you assign to a label, for them to own the master, they'll book studio for you.
Give you whatever that you need.
They
to
give
make
you
the product.
exactly. They are ensuring that they have ownership of the master, right? So those are producers' rights. Then there's performers' rights. Lobo songena kibo
Yeah.
because mina nawe singayibhala ingoma but singayiperform. Sinikete lo munye ayiperform. That person lo iperforma, we can't give him copyright. They didn't create anything. Akangeni ku split sheet
Akangeni at all.
at all.
Okay.
Unema performers rights. So my performance rights now swabala ngale on the master side. So just to make a simple illustration of how royalties would work, right? Let's say there's one song. And just like we established, there's two parts in a song. There's the composition part, which is also called the musical work. And then there's the sound recording, which is also called the master. Ngala kungena the creators. So ngala sitshelwa split sheet how we should pay them.
Okay.
Ngala kungena i-master agreement, ne-featured artist agreement, ne-agreement as a performer ukuthi utawubhadaleka kanjani. So if this song earns 1 million emalangeni, maybe let me make it more realistic. If this song earns 10,000 emalangeni.
Nah, 1 million. Let's go with 1 million. I like the million chat. Guys, you want to make millions with this record.
According to how Eswakos will do distribution and according to what is prescribed as well in the Act with equitable remuneration, it means 50% must come this side, 50% must come this side.
Okay.
So from the 10,000, 5,000 will go to the songwriters.
The songwriters on.
And we will pay them according to their split sheet.
Okay.
So lo 5,000 sesimhlephula ngalama percentage lalapha ku split sheet, we pay them. Then we come ngala kuma neighboring rights. Again, we slash it in half, right? Half of the 5,000, which is 2.5, goes to the owner of the sound recording, the owner of the master. In this case, if it's the record label, 2,500 goes to the record label.
Okay.
If it's an independent artist who owns the master, 2.5 goes to them, right? Seksele nanglomye 2.5, right? When I perform, simslasha equitably according to the number of performers on the song. So if there's one performer, that's 2.5. However, if there is a pre-existing agreement whereby the performer has now given his rights over to the record label, we am forfeit lo 2.5. Lo shosi label say it 5,000. Because in some instances, I can make you sign an agreement whereby you assign your performance rights to me as a label, and maybe I give you an advance or I do a once-off payment for that, whatever the case may be. So where are you, kulabantu lapha? Sale ngidokunika ke nyale advice. So uyababona abantu ngibabalile ukuthi lona wenteni lona ungumuphi wena kubonke lapha.
Mina ngingilona lota ne-studio. Lona lo litha lo mshini wakhe. With the auto recorder.
Yeah.
Lona lo phinza akhe.
So you are the producer. You own the master.
I own the master.
That's okay.
Technically, I'm supposed to own the master.
If you are the sole investor.
If I'm the sole investor. But if I'm collaborating with someone else, we split that 50-50.
You decide how you want to split the master, yeah.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. Now, as the director of Eswakos, how do we artists sinhlangabeta ngayo so that singakhona ukuthi we drive this machine?
Sure.
How do we hlangabeta you guys?
Coming to workshops.
Yes. First off, more workshops.
We host workshops. Artists RSVP. And then artists don't attend. There was a workshop that we once did last year in December. We had 140 RSVPs, We were so excited. People are really hungry to learn about copyright and to position themselves to benefit from copyright. About 60 people came. So less than 50% of the people who RSVP'd
Didn't come.
came.
Yeah.
More than 50% didn't come. So more than half of the people RSVP'd didn't come. So that is sometimes disappointing because the information is really for you,
True.
right?
True. And we're getting it for free.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be paying for information like this.
And then secondly, to those who get it, those who actually come and hear the gospel of copyright,
Yeah.
ufana nasesonveni. Futhi uthi masuye esonveni uma uyive kahle le gospel
Uzamele ukuyi-practice.
futhi bese sowuyasinziswa phela sesiyakubona ukuthi sowushintshile lingenile elivangeli. So if you come to a workshop and you really hear the gospel of copyright, can we start to see changes in how you do things? And I'm happy a couple of artists that I talk to, they are now making sure that they do split sheets when they go to studio. You were mentioning Gutsi Zazazel has a split sheet. So I'm happy. I know Amari comes to workshops. So I know Amari, because he's preaching the gospel.
Let's do split sheets, gents.
Guys, we must make sure we do the split sheet. So that those who know the right things that need to be done, please pass it on.
True.
Pass it on to the next person. Say, hey, dude, we just finished doing this thing. Can we sort out the paperwork? Can we? It's not weird. I know artists like money makes things weird, or conversations about money makes things. It's business. You have to be about the business. If you're about the business,
I'm really one of the few people who actually listen. But having to practice this thing, it's I don't know what then happens, because we know we're supposed to be doing this. I just don't know what then happens. I was in the studio yesterday. We think we made about 3 songs. We didn't sign any split sheets. I'm not gonna lie to you.
If that song today
I'm not gonna lie to
was posted on TikTok and it went viral and had 1 billion views today, and a big record label came and said, we want to sign this song, who should we talk to? Who do they talk to?
you. Talk to me. I have the master.
Ningakavumelani.
Singakavumelani.
The problem is we live in a very fast-paced world because of the internet now.
This is crazy.
Yeah, but you could do something thinking, maybe not, and then
Hit or miss.
it just blows up. Do you think when Uncle Waffles woke up the day she went and played at that venue and they took the video, do you think she knew the next day I'd be a viral
person.
sensation?
I don't think so.
Exactly. It took that moment.
And it changed everything.
It changed everything. So we need to have the same...
Position ourselves in a situation.
It means you're not looking to be a viral sensation. You're not positioning yourself for it. And, I think we are fortunate sometimes being a country that's a few steps behind others. Look at South Africa. Just look at every big song to come out of South Africa over the past 5 years. And then go and bother yourself how many of those songs have gone to litigation.
Hey, in Jerusalem, I Master KG. Ha. That's always a feature from Burna Boy.
And we're talking hundreds of millions.
Hundreds.
Not small, man.
Hundreds of millions.
So it shouldn't be a culture that we adopt. We have an opportunity to do things the right way.
Because we are far behind.
Yeah. Sometimes ikubanga emuva kuyakusita ngoba uyatibona tigwegwe talabanye uze hey angashonele.
True.
Yabo. So let's use that to our advantage.
Okay, to your understanding, how do we define a creative, sustainable industry locally?
It takes a lot of things, eh? It's not one thing.
True.
firstly, it takes mindset shift. Because what I realize is that a lot of us don't see the sector as a business, as a viable business. That's why we don't apply business principles when we are in the creative sector. We do it from a point of passion. We don't do agreements. We don't have strategic plans. We don't have marketing plans. I mean, okay, maybe now because it's becoming more and more popular, artists have rollout plans for their releases. But typically, hey, people don't do that. So we need to have a mindset shift change.
Okay.
Are we really in it for the business?
Do we really want it like that?
Like, we really need to ask ourselves, are we really in it for the business? Do we really want it like that? And if so, then we have to apply my business principles. They really change across whatever business that you're doing. They mimic each other across industries. So let's apply those principles, right? Let's have structures to what we do. Yabo. Let's give the right people the right responsibilities. Ngoba sinako nalokunikana nje ma responsibility ukuthi hayi sibanto in are they competent to do it? Can they do it? Sathi sitawubona sekwendeka mistake.
Then Zisho I was never the right person for the job.
So mindset shift firstly. Then secondly, from a government level, a lot of policy changes. I mean, copyright is just one of the many things that need to happen. And for me, I'd always said that having a very robust Copyright Act in this country would change a lot of things for us. And as it is doing now, because what it's saying now is saying previously, kumbe tinvo takho betsetshenziswa mahhala, music wakho bekadlaleka mahhala emisakatweni, etitolo, kuma events, but now sekushinjile lokho. So that's one aspect of sustainability. You can have more income beyond the income that is tied to your brand, which is bookings, endorsements, and whatnot. Now you have income that is tied to your creativity, to the work, right? That's one aspect of it. So copyright is great, but we need more. We need more policies at local government level. We need more things that are going to encourage the creative sector. I'll make simple examples. Mina ngiwala Mbabane, ngikhulela Mbabane. Ngiyamthanda Mbabane. But Mbabane kwashaya 8 o'clock sowulele.
Keep it up, baby.
Sowulele. How is the creative sector supposed to live?
Because if you spend 24 hours.
Yabo. At the very least, there must be some sort of change or positioning from local government to say, you know what, let me put in a policy that encourages public transport with paying at 10.
Okay. So that's nangabe studio from 6 to 10 and ngakhona kubambe cool.
It pushes everybody's working hours further up.
True.
I can stay longer in town without worrying about makumbi.
I can do shopping at 9.
Exactly. I spend more money while I'm in town. So no more money circulating in the local economy.
True.
Right? That's just one example, right? And then thirdly, from a creative sector perspective, having more creative products, even as a city, right? So what product offering does Mbabane have in terms of the creative sector?
What are we doing in Mbabane?
Put aside the spots that we have, put aside the Solanis, Azul, yes. Milling, and those places. A place that has so much heritage like Mbabane. Why don't we have a museum?
Like a theater club or something?
United Theater Club. For the longest time it struggled. I think the current committee that's in place now is really trying to resuscitate the place in terms of activity and infrastructure. Sure. But I feel like that's a place that local government should be bothered about, to say this thing has to live and to thrive, because it's an amenity that brings value to the city.
True.
Right? And then what else do we have? right? Do we have a civic center in Mbabane? If I wanted to do a big conference in Mbabane, where would I do it?
Ish, Hilton.
A big conference. I'm not talking about a meeting or a workshop, with all due respect to Hilton. A big conference.
Ish.
They're bringing who? Vusi Tembegwayo. Where is he? Manzini, Mavus. Where would I bring him here in Mbabane?
Ish.
Show me a venue that can seat 1,000 people.
Indoor just.
Yeah. A big conference. Where can we do it? So these are all the things that we really need to put in place if we're saying the creative sector must thrive, right? And then fourthly, funding support. We have funding for agriculture. We have funding for rural development. We have funding for many things. We don't have enough funding for the creative sector.
Can I just say something? Do you think it would be a better idea for city council to be part of the people who actually fund the creatives? Because I think they are more involved in making sure the city has population, the city is running properly. So if we were to do a typical example, Hlanze is hosting a show for Bahosta Nestisi.
Sure.
So Hlanze hosta Nestisi. It's a city council, okay, Nestisi Nestam provider, ngetho edolobheni.
Sure.
Kune studio saka city council sicela Nestisi aye khona. He's gonna find this amount of artists. What. I think it will work like that.
Yeah.
We have the people coming from behind the scenes, but they are given their credit. Who are involved in making this happen.
The easy or short answer is yes. I do think local government has a role to play there.
True.
But I'll also be fair in saying it also depends on the strategic direction of the local government. So what are their intentions? If I'm using Mbabane as an example, what's the strategic direction of Mbabane as a city, right? From what I've heard of, I haven't read the strategy, if I'm to be honest, but from what I've heard and what I'm seeing, we're moving towards smart city, right? And you're seeing
the cameras right now.
You're seeing the cameras, you're seeing the everything, right? So that tells you where it's going. But then I think they need to consider the creative sector.
True.
I think maybe it wasn't considered adequately enough. I think they need to look into that, because what you're saying is value that can be made for the city. I'll even make an example of other municipalities. You remember when Casper took Philip to
Maftown?
To Maftown.
I remember.
Who funded that?
I'm not aware.
The Mahikeng.
Oh, the
local government.
The local government.
Right. Casper is now taking it to Bloemfontein. I don't know, but I'm sure if you look behind, you'll find local government is funding him bringing it there. Because they understand what him bringing the dome to Bloemfontein does for the local economy. How many hotels are going to be booked out? How much money is going to be spent in the local supermarkets? That's the real value.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. So we need more of that here in Mbabane.
If nathi Mbabane abengakwenda lokho.
There's nothing to do.
Yeah, but and this is not. I honestly think we do currently have a very good leader in Mbabane, right?
True.
But to be fair, she's only just arrived now.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm sure they have a strategy and a vision that she's trying to execute. But really, I think it's just to raise the fact that there's an untapped potential in the creative sector that a city like Mbabane should really be looking into, to say, how do we leverage the creative economy to help raise the value of Mbabane to anybody coming into Eswatini? Next baye ezulwini, baye eHlane, embabane bangetela ini.
Right? What can we? What's that one thing that we have unique
Exactly.
in Mbabane? Damn.
But-ke kuyasita nalokho sinathi sibani labasha. Makukhethwa bokhansela. Asesihambeni siyokhetha bokhansela. Ngoba bokhansela ngibo labaphinze bahlale lapha in local government and influence the direction of the municipality.
True.
So if you guys are not voting in young people to be part of the municipality as councillors, what do we expect?
Because
Exactly.
that's where it all starts. Yeah, I understand. I want us to dive into ideas in terms of music. There's this story I was following. Some Marvin Gaye and Ed Sheeran.
Sure.
So Marvin Gaye's trust, but they wanted to sue Ed Sheeran for
Shape of You. Is it Shape of You or no? Not Shape of You. It's the other song.
It's the other song. Yeah.
I'm forgetting the title.
that Ed Sheeran had allegedly
Infringed
that song. What's your take in those situations like that? How do you protect yourself and your intellectual property as an artist?
As the one who's being implicated or the one who's being...
Okay, I think I can. Okay, let me try give it some more background. I think I can speak for every creative man. So there's no original idea that you can actually have that hasn't been done. You just have to find a way.
There is an original idea. There's no new idea.
Yeah, there's no new idea that has been done.
Yeah.
So each and everything is just, I think I heard this, I like it, I think I can twist it like this in my own preference.
Sure.
On how I want it to sound. Right now, in a situation whereby there's another person when it's a Zeliake.
Sure.
Where even the melody is the same. Tin, 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 tin. And say so you keep it. How do I then protect myself into saying, yo, you cannot make that because I already did it, or you cannot steal my idea because I already did it?
Yeah, bro, it's a very complex thing that you're asking.
Yeah.
So copyright can be very complex, right? Because using Ed Sheeran as an example, that wasn't his first time being in court, right? I think there was a song where he lost out and it was proven that there was infringement. I'm just forgetting which song this one was, man, that the Marvin Gaye estate was claiming that he infringed.
Let me
But in this case, he managed to prove, because the chord progression that they're saying he copied is actually a general chord progression that exists that doesn't necessarily belong to Marvin Gaye. So the thing is, Engandolo especially, it all boils down to what you can prove. Lingakudla licala ubungakayikopi baprove ukuthi ukopile ubungakayikopi yabo, or you can be able to defend yourself and provide the court with the relevant evidence,
just like he did.
Marvin Gaye had to he even brought a music professor from Berkeley College, I think, who actually came to provide context to chord progression and what are unique chord progressions and what are general chord progressions that exist. Professor ukuthi batokufakazela. So it really boils down to what you can prove. But how you can protect yourself is also a question of what does the copyright say? Because copyright differs in each country. The copyright law in America is different to the copyright law in Eswatini. It's different to the copyright law in the European Union. So you need to have a good understanding of what does the law say Lagangwane, in terms of originality. It speaks to there must be a significant level of your own human intellect and creativity.
Is there a percentage?
No, it's hard. It's hard to put a percentage because how do we gauge creativity?
So meaning assemblage and
no, you can't. Because the word sample is a very technical word. When you're saying you're going to sample it, it means really you're going to take it and use it. So no, you can't do that.
But
But there are ways to use Kwaimane for your creative process.
okay.
Whereby if I am one of the writers of Kwaimane and I hear the way that you said a certain hook and I'm like, actually that sounds like the way we did our hook, right? But you didn't sample our hook.
Oh,
Right?
Okay.
So there's different ways there's also what they call interpolation. So interpolation is what they do when they don't necessarily sample a song, but they interpolate.
I'm trying to.
Google the correct definition. But in a sense, is what a lot of Amapiano artists do when
With
they
the Kwaito songs.
use a melody of another song in a different song, but it's not a sample. Because when you sample, you actually go to the original and you take certain parts of it. Either you're taking the actual words or you're taking a certain part of the recording and you're using it in the new production. But interpolation is slightly different, right?
Okay.
So it fully the right definitions tabachela
The internet.
but anyway sebataibuka uthi yini interpolation. So sampling and interpolation is not the same,
It's not the same
right?
thing.
And it has different implications when it comes to infringement.
Okay.
But ultimately what I'm trying to say is you must be able to show Guguti what you're doing is original. Yabo. And originality is not novelty. That's why I said there are no there's a difference between original idea and new idea. New idea means akuzange sekube khona kuyaqala.
Azange sisukubona.
Original means kuke kwaba khona, but the way you are doing it ukwenza ngendlela yakho kunguwe. But let's not confuse originality also for example translating. If I translate Zazazel and I sing it in Portuguese, it's copyright infringement.
True.
It's not original. You just translated it to another language. So yeah, mina nje bengathi asingebi bekunene. Uyabo.
I actually email after dropping Zazazel. There's a guy who wanted to release his own version because he did the open verse thing.
Okay.
Yes, so he requested to me, is it possible that
to release it under his own label?
Under his own label. Can a thing like that happen?
You can give him the clearance. It's up to you how you want to give him the clearance.
If I were to give him a clearance, that means I have, how much percentage do I have on his split sheet?
It's up to you. You negotiate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you own the work that they want to use, you're in control. Right?
This changes everything.
It's like Burna Boy's song that samples Tony Braxton.
I don't think I know it.
You know it. What's the title? Does anybody remember the Ngomaya Burna Boy that samples Tony Braxton?
Tony Braxton.
Anyway,
yeah.
Tony Braxton took a huge chunk of that publishing. You want the song?
It's fine.
Give me. Give me. Or else don't use it. But because Burna Boy understood how big this song could be, he was like, it's fine. Give them. We'll make money elsewhere. We'll make money from bookings, from what. Give them the publishing.
Okay, just I have another topic I want to touch base on. I want to talk about our Swazi identity in the creative space.
Sure.
Do you think we have one? And if we don't, what are we missing?
We can have one.
Yes.
Okay, here's the thing about identity, right? You have to own it. And then you really have to own it.
It should be your thing.
Let me make an example, right? Other than like maybe a log drum and a few other like instruments, what's the difference between Amapiano and Kwaito?
The tempo.
The tempo?
Yeah.
Which is faster?
Which is Amapiano.
No ways. Maybe the newer amapiano leyo kungase
Oh
sekunabo skija or
yeah,
whatever.
actually, because all quiet used to be
Yes.
damn, yeah, and then they slow it down later on into the early 2000s, and then
Yeah.
Mapiano just
Because Kwaito, they used to slow down house records
yeah,
and then freestyle over them, right?
and just put like up tempo
And
drums.
fuse it with bubblegum and what kwagcina sekuyi-quiet.
Okay.
Amapiano, if you notice the rise of Amapiano, it also comes from that 45 era. Yakumwa concept to Mama 45, where it was slow down beats.
Nema slow jams.
That was Amapiano. That's where Amapiano comes.
Actually, yeah.
That's the real essence of Amapiano. It was more chilled and slowed down. The faster paced one now is the evolution of Amapiano, right? And you've got people rapping there in Vernac. Same with Quiet. You have people rapping there in Vernac.
And they're talking about crazy lives,
right?
Club life.
And it's the same things that they're talking
and
about.
The context is the same.
Because Bonge Basekas.
Yeah.
And Bonge were the youth of that era.
And they were just explaining how they live it.
Exactly. So at its very core, it's really the same thing. But what they did is they owned the identity of Amapiano. And it became its own thing. Right? Kube besingayibeka nges-IP kunana bakubita ngema-geographical indicator.
Okay.
So ama-geographical indicator ma-trademarks la tied to where a certain product is from, right? So you've got champagne. What's champagne? Sparkling wine. What makes it champagne?
Branding. Is it branded?
It's because it's from the village of Champagne in France. Otherwise, it's sparkling wine.
Yeah, otherwise, it's sparkling wine.
What's cognac?
Because it's
distilled wine.
Distilled wine.
It's brandy.
Made from France.
Made in cognac in France.
In France, yeah, in a place called
right?
Cognac, yeah.
So how is it different? So it's not distinctly different. Rather, the difference is tied to where it's from.
Okay.
So it's only Amapiano if it's from South Africa. It's only Afrobeats if it's from Nigeria or West Africa, right? So we had Ngwane Hop, which I think was our identity. Diba Cracks, Tsibo era, Kena. That was Ngwane Hop.
True.
That was our version of hip hop. That had an identity. We let it die.
Do you think? I don't think it's really dead. I just think the bros didn't really give out the sauce to the rest of the people, so everybody's exposed and we are all in the same wave to actually push this thing, you know.
Yeah.
Because I even now with the music that's like it's being made outside of the country, like it's different sounds for different peoples. And
sure.
They're all over the place. It's all over the place. And I think if locally we were to find like creative common ground, we'd have to dig deeper.
It really depends on exposure, hey? Like,
True.
We cannot lie. We are a product of South African television. Yeah. We watch too much South African TV. We listen to too much South African music. So we become South Africans.
True.
That is why you'll find local artists jumping on a song and singing in Zulu. And you'll be like, but Simaswati, why are we singing in Zulu?
Because of the influence.
Yeah, and of course, others will argue, no, it's because we want to access the South African market.
Yeah.
But you can't access the South African market.
Sounding like them.
You can access it in a unique way. You have to be unique to stand out in SA. Once you try to sound like them, you've already lost half of the battle.
There's room for everybody.
So our unique selling point is our language, Our unique selling point is our experiences.
Okay.
Our unique selling point is our stories. Our unique selling point is our culture. We have a lot of things that are unique to here. Even our street lingo
True.
is slightly different. Rabo. We don't use that enough. You know how when you go to Manzini, if I'm Joel Manzini, you can get lost in how they are speaking because they use different slang
languages,
words.
yeah.
Same Nalambabane, we use different slang words.
True.
But then when we jump in a song, we want to use American slang. Why?
That's my nigga, Pell.
No. So I think that's where we're losing it. That's where we're losing it. So the identity qala la kithi ngikongithi first you must own it when then you must own it once it's on wax, just like how those guys were able to then create and start the Ngwane Hop movement. They didn't own it enough, and maybe not to put the blame on them, but Nazi, we didn't support it. We didn't consume it, which is another challenge that we have. How do we change our mindset as local people to start being pro-local consumption?
True.
Yini kwethu sinekukubukela phansi but kwalabanye kweta nga Oshuk noma kweta ngalenye indlela
sikuthatha fast
yabo
sesiyakufuna nathi
exactly.
Lo kwethu siyakweqa
exactly
eish
but kwethu makweqe thine kwayo gama ngale bese sesijake ukuthi hayi kwethu
awuteka wena sibi.
So it's a dynamic problem, really, Lelesnai. It's not a one-person problem. The audience also has
a huge role
to play. The creators also have a huge role to play as well.
Sasivala nje ngimamagama longashiya nawo.
Sikhuluma ngetinto letiningi. Emagama for artists, for
your department and to artists.
Okay.
How can we work with each other and
sure.
Step nasuka lana yini imvo lesingazama ukuthi si practice.
Sure. So with regards to Eswakos, Wami is really easy to just encourage creators locally, songwriters, producers, performers, and it doesn't stop at music, by the way. True. Sometimes it may seem as if maybe Eswakos were temculo, but no, akusinjalo. We protect literary works, we protect artistic works, we protect audio visuals. So whether you're a filmmaker, book writer, fine artist, graphic designer, musician, or otherwise, please come and register with Eswakos. For registrations, you can come to our offices, Sisembabane along Kwamile Street at the Embassy House building.
Okay.
And the traffic light and that building, that's the former American Cultural Center for those that have lived in Babane long enough.
Eish.
But we're on the first floor there. You can come to the office and register. Alternatively, you can call us on 76024199 or WhatsApp us on that number 76024199. We'll be able to share with you our survey that we're currently doing, and through that survey you get added to a database where we then communicate the dates for the workshops to say, oh, no workshop Kamanzini about this, come through and so forth. But as well, there is another way in which we'll communicate registration information. And then thirdly, we'll soon be launching an online platform which will allow people to register remotely. The website is not active yet, but it will be www.eswakos.org.sz.
Okay.
But in Kabango, once that is live, we'll do a proper launch for people to tap in and to know how to do that. But let's really decide, are we in the business of creativity or are we in the business of creativity? Because if we're in the business of creativity, then we cannot leave the business principles at the door when we're saying we are going to pursue a career in the art. Let's get more familiar with contracts, Let's get more familiar with copyright. Let's get more familiar with the industry as a whole. Fortunately, we live in the information age. Kude lokufihlakele ku-internet.
True.
Mawunalesikhathi sekukuthola. And if you are privileged enough to have the data as well, because I know accessibility is not the same for everyone, but truly, the 30 minutes you could have spent on TikTok, maybe spend it on Google, getting articles, getting material and information, and read. Big phones. I know people.
Is there any books or any websites you would recommend?
So I would actually recommend people go to the WIPO website.
Okay.
They actually have a free course on intellectual property. It's called DL 101. Anyone can do that course for free. You'll get just a crash course on intellectual property. So you can just Google WIPO Academy, WIPO Academy. Yes. And then you can even add DL 101. That's the name of that specific course.
DL 101.
This. Yeah, with the dash between the L and the one. But yes, like that. And people can register to do the Introduction to Intellectual Property course and just get a taste of what really is this intellectual property and get an understanding of how much the biggest businesses in the world are actually based on IP. I mean, one of the richest people in the world is the owner of LVMH, Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy. That business is just IP.
That's it.
It's trademarks.
There's nothing special besides trademarks.
It's trademarks and copyright. That's all they're selling. Because we can't say they're selling clothing, because if we take away that LV symbol off of that bag or off of that t-shirt, does it have the same value? Doesn't. So they're actually selling you the trademark. When you're feeling cold, like genuinely, if it's a thing of a need, you won't go to a luxury.
True.
Yeah, but you go there because you want to be seen, to be wearing, because it gives you some sort of
respect,
social equity. Yeah, but so yeah, asithatheni seriously and kunemali la kubo copyright, kubo IP, kubo creative industry. There's money to be made, and there's people who are making it. I mean, the recording industry just showed a revenue of 29 billion US dollars.
Damn.
That's the value of the recording industry globally. Yeah.
Yo. And I remember Besbuga, the amount of money South African artists were making on Spotify last year. I think was it 50? Was it 50 or 30? But it was around there. Just
million?
Yeah.
400 million this year.
It was 400 million last year. That was generated from Spotify alone.
South Africa.
Yes, South African artists only.
Yeah.
So there's actually, when you're saying there's money to be made, that's actually true. So guys, let's tap in. I'm not gonna lie, I'm also not registered, and I don't know why. But I am taking full responsibility, and I am going to follow up. Intellectual property is a very important part, especially if you are in the creative space. We hang around a lot of creatives, we come around a lot of ideas, we even share some of the ideas. So protecting ourselves and protecting our intellectual property is important. But thank you so much, my brother, for coming to visit us. I don't know. There's a question I wanted to ask you, but we're running out of time.
Quickly.
Yeah. Ngabona an article on the newspaper and DJ, they're going to supposed to pay a license. A license fee. Can you briefly explain that?
Explain why or explain how much?
Explain why and just explain why they need to pay. And
okay, sure. So what does a DJ do?
He plays other people's music.
That's exactly why they need to pay. So copyright is saying, what the law is saying is that anyone who is playing or using someone else's music without their permission needs a license.
Okay.
So DJs, that's what they do.
As a DJ, you're supposed to have a license that says I'm allowed to play the song.
I'm a licensed DJ.
I'm a licensed DJ. Okay, that makes sense.
It's gonna help. I think
True.
a lot of people will see it negatively now, but it's actually gonna help professionalize the DJing industry.
True, because you can't pop out of the house for 500 now.
Yeah.
You pay
If I'm paying money to have
True.
a license, you can't pay me with a 6-pack or with
right.
$500. And the move that we're going to take, we're going to also push for Gucci, even the corporates that hire DJs.
Are aware of such.
Not even aware, have to hire licensed DJs.
Okay.
Because you'd be aiding someone to do copyright infringement. And as a corporate, I don't think you want that.
Damn, true. Ngoba thina sitawubuya
You're
reporter,
hiring
guys.
someone kutsendela icala.
Sitawubuya sto reporter bese nibafake emva kwendlu.
So it's not a bad thing. It's actually going to help filter the people who are really about the business of DJing and the people who are just DJing as a, by the way, yabo, 9 to 5, but on the weekend,
I pop out on
I double up as a DJ. Udistep are the people that are actually saying, I want to pursue a DJ career.
True.
Because you are making the barrier of entry too low because you are willing to accept a 12 and a 300 with X. And there's someone who's charging $2,000.
And lo $2,000 akafuni vele lokunye ufuna lo $2,000 wakhe.
Yeah. So the license itawusita nalok filterish.
I'm for the license.
It won't be too expensive.
I'm for the license. I'm actually for it. Because I think it will also give out the promoters igunya lokuthi iphume le mali. Yeah. That was the last question I had. Thank you so much for coming through. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, drop a like, drop your comments. This is T Podcast. I am your host with the most Mmeli. Me and Mmeli, we are officially out. Danko.